A new novel by Pulitzer Prize-winning author and Minneapolis resident Louise Erdrich reflects on the city's upheaval in 2020 amid the pandemic and the police killing of George Floyd. Jeffrey Brown has this look as part of our ongoing arts and culture coverage, Canvas.
Another day in the life of a small independent bookstore. But this one in Minneapolis is a bit unusual. It has a confessional and a canoe overhead. It specializes in Native American literature and subjects. And there's a ghost who hovers in the fiction section, a former customer who died but refuses to leave. The store is real enough. It's called Birch Bark Books. The ghost story is fiction, titled The Sentence, written by store owner and acclaimed novelist Louise Erdrich.
I was always going to write a book about a ghost in a bookstore.
Because
why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to write about a haunted bookstore? Because there's so much life in a bookstore. You know, a book is so much more than a transactional object. The words are flooding in, and ideas are filling you, and emotion. It's haunting in a good way.
But her story is also about a deeper and more painful haunting of the city in which she lives and works. Amid pandemic and the murder of George Floyd in South Minneapolis and the protest that followed. It's told through the voice of a character named Tookie, a Native woman with her own difficult past.
This is the first book I've ever written, in real time.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of aghast because I didn't know how to handle all of this at all. So all I could do was try to keep it very narrowly focused through the eyes of one incredibly fallible character, one woman.
Was it hard to do? Was it a good escape from what was happening?
It wasn't an escape. It was the most difficult piece of writing I've ever done.
Erdrich grew up in the Red River Valley of North Dakota, daughter of a German-American father and Chippewa mother. She's a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, a tribal nation near the Canadian border. And much of her prolific and often best-selling writing, novels, children's books, poetry, has centered on the experience of Indigenous people in the upper Midwest. The Roundhouse won the 2012 National Book Award. The Night Watchman, the 2021 Pulitzer Prize. It's a fictionalized account of her grandfather, Patrick Gorno, a tribal leader, and his generation's struggle in the 1950s against so-called termination, an effort by the U.S. government to tear up treaties and take back tribal reservation lands. Her way into difficult subjects, she told me on a walk along the Mississippi River, is always through stories.
If you're going to talk about termination, it's really very technical and boring.
Right.
But if you are seeing it through the eyes of someone who is suddenly faced with termination and really the extinction of one's standing in the world and one's way of life and one's very lives depend on the land, then it's very different. And then it becomes not a matter of politics, but a matter of what this does to a human being.
In The Sentence, as in real life, Erdrich's Native characters join the protests, with a deep sense of a long history of police brutality aimed at American Indians who migrated or were pushed into the Twin Cities. The characters, to them, what's happening in real time, Minneapolis 2020, feels very familiar to them.
Yes.
Did it feel familiar to you?
Yeah, in a terrible way. I think I felt like so many people did that I felt a sense of failure.
In what sense?
Well, I love this city, and people who live in the city and work in the city, I think feel a sense that the city failed miserably. We can't live with this. Nobody can live with this. And with it as well, we live in a city that has been divided, redlined, so many things that have been handed down through these decades and decades of systemic racism. It all came bubbling up as it would.
There are also more hopeful themes embedded in The Sentence about the love of books.
Do you like science fiction?
Erdrich herself loves nothing more than offering recommendations to an eager reader. Also, and especially, there's the portrait of those she calls indigerati. Native literature lovers, right?
Yes. And, immersed in their language and immersed in their worlds and setting their own agenda for life. But I have 4 daughters, so I was really touched by them all the time.
One daughter, Persia, studied and now teaches the native Ojibwe language to young children.
There's a very deep thing that's happening there because my grandfather was the last person in our family who spoke Ojibwe fluently. And my daughter would have been able to speak with him. He had no one to really speak with at some point. But my daughter would have been able to speak with him. They're speaking the same language.
Her bookstore also exemplifies an exciting new chapter in American literature, an explosion of works in recent years by a new generation of Native writers.
That was something that I'd always thought, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And it started happening. And then all of a sudden, it just blew up, as they say.
With Louise Erdrich, writer and bookstore owner, helping to lead the way. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jeffrey Brown in Minneapolis.